Why do I have to have such a curious, thoughtful mind that the best thoughts always hit me when I cannot do anything with them? So I've decided to just take a second and pull over while I get home and share the random thought that I had. I don't know what your education experience was like, because there are a number of factors that come into play when it comes to such a thing. Let it be where you got your education, when you got your education, particularly what was your course of study, because maybe you needed to go to a certain institution to become prepared for certain things. Maybe you went to a trade school. All I know is that my education level went up to high school, thus that's all the experience that I have, and I will express my following thought based off that fact. When I was in school, I was in the period when there was still a lot of traditional-ish school style of teaching going on, but the difference was that some of the topics, some of the subjects that I was taking were not the same that, say, my parents were taking. It seemed like my parents, even in public schools, even up to high school, they were taking courses that seemed to be relevant with what is necessary for you to at least exist as a responsible adult. My favorite example is home economics. That is the one class that I always feel I needed to just live a relatively fuller life with a limited education. Toward the end of my school career, I can say that I still had a lot of work by hand that I had to do, a lot of researching by hand that I had to do. By that I mean I still needed pencils, pens, papers. I was still expected to know how to do math without relying too much on the calculator. But I want to say on the last 2 years of my school experience, my teachers were urging me to at least know 100% how to operate the calculator so that I can pass the exam. But some of them lamented the fact that some of us may know how to use a calculator, but we may not understand the mathematics behind it. And it is very important to understand the mathematics behind it in the event that A, for some reason, a calculator is not available, and B, if you need to teach this to someone, or if you need this skill, you can only recognize when you would need to use it if you actually understand what that concept is. I happened to graduate from school right at the sweet spot when the end of the olden days of education were about to begin. I didn't have a lot of computer experience. I remember that I began to learn how to do PowerPoint and stuff in my early to mid high school days, but my computer apps classes are the ones that I want to go over the most. I remember computer classes being mostly about keyboarding. You know, put your fingers on the home row keys, use this technique, do this, do that. This is how you browse the web. These are the buttons. This is what the save button looks like, the floppy disk symbol. This is what you do, so on and so forth. It was like basic, superficial stuff. But now that I think about it, toward my late high school career, I was learning a lot about production. Say, producing PowerPoint presentations, which eventually we started crapping on PowerPoint, and we began using alternatives to it, which I forget about. And another thing that I remember was coming up a lot was colleges were using something called Blackboard, and I'm not sure what it was. I can't remember what it was, but I think it was the method that they had for you to submit schoolwork now. Anyway, they had Blackboard and all those computer word things that I didn't know about. And then recently, God, I forget the name, but on Twitter, some writer was saying, why is it that there's people in the writing community who don't use, it starts with an S, I think, the name of that program, I'm like, why would I use that program when on my computer Word is pre-installed and this is what I grew up on, this is what I know how to use. I started with Microsoft Works, and then Word became like the dominant software for writing. So why would I want to complicate my life learning something new? And besides, the kind of writing that I do, I prefer to do it by hand anyway, more than using a computer. So there was that factor. In addition, there was a lot of graphics stuff involved. Say the creation of videos, the application of special effects, the way of making adjustments, the design principles, contrast, colors, stuff like that. So now let me get to the point that I intend with this. If in school you're going through so much trouble to get people to be very well versed at using computers, why are you going to be, this is for old people especially, salty and mad and upset and irritated by the young people who during school or right freshly graduated, they start making good money, they start having their own little businesses, let it be in content creation or website design, and you're intimidated by that, you're infuriated by that because of how quickly these young people get those things done. And it happens to them, some of them when they're like 18, 19, 20, and you expect for them to do this work for you because your education on computers may not be as good as what theirs is, because young people stuff, because it looks easy for the young people to do because they have these skills already. You don't want to pay them for that, but you also get upset that these people are starting to be well off and have a good living when they're really young. Why would you be mad at that? A lot of old people keep saying something like, well, when I was younger, this is what I went through, this is how I suffered, this and that, so therefore I think you need to wait until you're 50 or 60 to amass a decent amount of wealth. What is the point of old generations laying the foundation, doing the groundwork and all that, if you wish upon your descendants to be miserable, to be just as miserable as you were, especially at an older age? The one thing that I disagree about these young people and the newer generations, I guess, is the entitlement and the degree of feeling superior just because there's some stuff that we're getting somewhat right a little faster than some of you. That arrogance, I can't say that I agree young people need to fix and get better about. But for an older person to actively abhor the thought and resent a young person or even their own children being better off than they were at a certain age, like, what the fuck is in your heart? I would think that you would be happy that someone doesn't have to suffer like you did. Where does that sentiment come from? What is the point of you pushing education, especially becoming good with computers, if when we do well with computers and we make good money because we know how to use computers and computers are facilitating so many things that your ass benefits from, why are you still mad? Why are you mad at that? Why do you resent the fact that some people just have it easier like that, and that some people don't have to do dangerous things and dangerous jobs to make a good living now? So what if people want to be lazy? Who are you to say what's right and what isn't? See what I mean? So that is the point, guys. If you guys over 10 years ago, 20 years ago, began to push this whole become really good at using computers and calculator stuff, why is it that that's what you promoted and young people became good at those things? We became good with using computers and shit, and now we're making money off it. Why are you mad? Isn't that what you wanted? You wanted us to be good with computers. Here we are being good with computers, but you angry. Did you forget? This was your idea. So anyways, you guys, I thought I would put this out there because for some reason it just hit me. What was the point of you hurrying me into becoming well versed with computers, or just not even computers, just any tool in general that makes someone get ahead a little sooner? And for some people, it's just a really hard pill to swallow, and they're salty about it because this opportunity wasn't available for them when they were our age. And I'm like, well, what about the price that we have to pay in our present day that you didn't have to pay for? For instance, the whole economics shit of how you could have a home by the time that you were 20 and have like two kids by the time that you were 21 or some shit, and you could actually afford to do it. Do you think we're not salty about that? So in the same manner that you mad about some stuff, we mad about some stuff. You guys let me know if this is something that you have observed or you have heard old people say, because at least in person I have had three older individuals kind of bring that up to me, and then online it's like a plethora of individuals who have these thoughts. What do you think? Because at least I can tell you that my mom, at least as an older person, she's definitely proud of the tools that I have available for me, but she's also sad about the things that I have going on against me that put me at a disadvantage. But she knows that we're doing all right. We'll figure it out. We'll get through it like we always do. So yeah, you guys, what's your experience and what are your thoughts with that? Editing Zam here. I think what's happening is they're upset that they see us, that we became good doing the very thing that they wanted us to do, which was learn how to use computers. But I guess they wanted us to have that skill developed so that we can work for them, help them further their businesses. Whereas what we are doing is we're taking our skills, using it for ourselves. We're creating our own things, and now we're competing against them and their businesses, and in some cases, beating them.